When I first saw the trailer for Lazarus, I was genuinely excited. It had the sci-fi setting, slick animation, jazzy vibes, and it was directed by the same guy who made Cowboy Bebop. I mean, what could possibly go wrong? I even made an entire video talking about how Lazarus gave off this serious bebop energy, and safe to say that video aged like milk. And I know I'm not alone. Ever since that video dropped, the comment section slowly turned into a Lazarus support group, a place for people to vent or cope with their disappointment. As new episodes came out week by week, the comments kept pouring in, and most of them were saying the same thing. This anime just wasn't it. I really did want to defend it at first, but now that I've seen the full thing, the criticism, it checks out. Lazarus had the hype, it had the talent, it had the aesthetic, but what it didn't have is the heart. So enough of my bickering, let's, get on with the video here and let's talk about what actually went wrong. Lazarus takes place in the year 2052, where a miracle drug called Hapna has cured all known diseases and brought about a new era of peace. However, 3 years later, the drug's inventor, Dr. Skinner, suddenly announces that Hapna is actually a delayed poison, and everyone who took it is going to die within a month. But there is a catch, and a sliver of hope. Dr. Skinner claims he can stop the drug from activating, but first, someone has to find him. So it pretty much just turns into a global, high-stakes game of hide and seek. To find him, a global task force called Lazarus is formed. A squad of elite agents from around the world with one goal: stop Skinner, save humanity. Simple enough, right? The anime kicks off by introducing the main cast and how Lazarus is formed. All of that setup is wrapped up in the first episode, and we also see the introduction to Axel, who is the main character. At the time, he is housed inside a prison, but he ends up breaking out. From there, the show shifts into a more episodic format, with each mission bringing the team closer to Skinner, or so you would expect. See, this is where Lazarus starts to stumble. I'm all for episodic storytelling. Some of my favorite anime follow that format. But in Lazarus, a lot of these episodes feel like they have nothing to do with the main objective of finding Dr. Skinner. They just feel like pointless filler episodes that don't really accomplish anything at all. Instead, we get these random detours, episodes meant to flesh out characters through backstory, but most of them feel kinda half-baked. There's no real depth here. The backstories are shallow, predictable, and built on tired stereotypes. Nothing about them made me think like, you know what, yeah, I really want to know more about this character. I mean, I get what the show was trying to do, add emotional weight, build some kind of connection, but the execution just ain't there. And to make it worse, they only bother fleshing out like few characters while the rest of the cast remains flat and forgettable. If you're gonna dedicate time to developing the cast, why only focus on 2 or 3 of them? Is it because there's only 13 episodes to work with? Probably, but still, how on God's green earth do you forget to give us any real backstory on the main character, Axel? He's supposed to be the emotional center of the team, but we barely know anything about him. Meanwhile, some of the villains get more development and somehow come across as more well-rounded and interesting. Bottom line, the character writing felt undercooked across the board, and honestly, I didn't really care about any of them. At no point was I emotionally invested in what happened to this team. By the end of the show, I was kind of rooting for Hapna to just wipe everyone out. Not because I'm heartless, but because at least that would have been interesting. Unexpected, dramatic, maybe even memorable, which is more than I can say for most of these characters. Now, like I said, the anime is 13 episodes long, so naturally there are moments where it tries to cram in way too much information and the pacing ends up all over the place. And because of that, a lot of things just don't make sense. One of the first things I noticed, after the big announcement from Dr. Skinner, the one where he says everyone who took Hapna has a month to live? People are just going about their day like it's a normal Tuesday. Really? You're telling me the entire world hears you're all gonna die in 30 days, and people still show up to work? still grabbing coffee like nothing happened. Let's be real here. If that happened in the real world, there would be absolute chaos. Stores getting looted, people rioting, government scrambling, total breakdown of society as we know it. But in Lazarus, it's like, welp, guess I'll just finish this shift and catch the next train home. Now, you could argue, well, maybe people didn't believe it, except it wasn't just some sketchy random guy yelling on a live stream. It was Dr. Skinner, the guy who invented Hapna, a globally trusted figure. If that man tells the world they got 1 month to live, yeah, people are gonna take that very seriously. On top of that, there's no way Lazarus would be the only group trying to track down Dr. Skinner. This guy literally just issued a death sentence to the entire human race. He wouldn't just be hiding from one elite task force. Realistically, every government, military, bounty hunter would be hunting this man down. There would be a global manhunt, massive reward, his face plastered on every single screen. But nope. In the anime, it's business as usual. People just move on with their day while this one squad handles the apocalypse. It just completely breaks the immersion. There's no sense of panic. There's a segment later in the anime where one of the government officials or some shady higher up finds out that Axel is actually an escaped convict. The prison that Axel broke out of was used to run experiments on inmates with an early prototype version of Hapna. Everyone died, except Axel, of course. Now, to avoid any potential fallout from this illegal testing, the officials decide Axel needs to be silenced before the truth gets out. Wouldn't want people finding out they were secretly using prisoners as lab rats. So what's their plan? They hire a Korean assassin who, and I'm not even making this up, suffers from multiple personality disorder, because clearly when you're trying to cover up a government conspiracy, that's the most reliable option. What could possibly go wrong? And here's where it gets even dumber. This entire subplot takes place within the last 24 hours before Hapna is set to wipe out humanity. You see the issue here, right? This official wants Axel dead to prevent a scandal, while the world is literally about to end. Like, the guy trying to cover his own ass is going to be dead in less than a day. So what is the point of this? Axel is out here trying to save the planet, including this man's very life. And the response to that is, nah, just kill him, just in case people find out what I did, even though there will be no one left to care. Amazing. Peak logic. So I think that's enough of me roasting the story, so let's move on to something slightly different. Let's talk about the voice acting. Once again, ends up feeling pretty half-baked. Surprise, surprise. It's not absolutely terrible. There are a few voices that were decent, not great, just passable. But for the most part, the dub feels kind of flat. Now, I actually did go out of my way to watch this in English, expecting something solid, especially with how much hype this show has around it. But man, a lot of these performances come off so monotone and lifeless. It's like even the voice actors didn't believe in the project. Almost like they were thinking, yeah, this show's pretty damn mid, so why even bother wasting my energy? It just adds to the overall feeling that Lazarus was never fully sure of itself, not in the writing, not in the pacing, and definitely not in the delivery. Honestly, I would just stick to the subbed version, which is what I should have done all along, because you really can't go wrong with a Japanese dub. Now when it comes to the music, I'll give credit where it's due. There were actually a few tracks I kinda liked. Now it's not anything mind-blowing or memorable, but they did do a solid job capturing that, futuristic sci-fi vibe the show was kind of going for. It fit the tone and the setting well enough. It's not something I'd listen to outside of the anime, but while you're watching, it does just enough to elevate the scenes and kind of give them a little more atmosphere and a punch to the action scenes as well. Visually, the anime was good, but I did find it was very inconsistent. Some episodes are leagues above others, and then there are moments where the animation just feels off, like a totally different team took over. One example that really stood out to me was this one scene in one of the episodes where Axel fights the security guards to some building. The animation there felt oddly disconnected from the rest of the show. I mean, I wanted to say it looked nice, like it was smooth, but then there was these, it just felt kind of janky, the movements, this weird timing. It was off-putting, like someone accidentally swapped in footage from a different series. I don't know, it just felt weird, because I never saw that type of animation again in the entire anime. That said, when the show does hit, it hits pretty damn hard. The animation shines during, the big action moments and when things are popping off. It really does deliver. My favorite episode personally was episode 4, the one where, the Lazarus gang go undercover inside a club. The animation, the atmosphere, the music, the action, and the vibes, it just all kind of came together in that episode. I genuinely thought, okay, here we go, this is the tone, the style, the energy that this anime needs. But nope, turns out episode 4 was the high point. And from there the show didn't ride that momentum, it just plummeted. Like a roller coaster that climbs with excitement, pauses at the peak, and then nosedives straight into mediocrity. Lazarus had moments where it really showed promise. The concept was cool, the visuals had potential, and there were a few standout episodes that made me think it could possibly turn things around. But unfortunately, it just never fully came together. Between the inconsistent pacing, shallow character work, and some head-scratching story decisions, it ended up feeling like a missed opportunity. It just honestly just felt above average. If I had to put on a scale from 1 to 10, I'd probably give it a 6, and that's honestly being very generous. Not the worst thing I've seen, but definitely not living up to the hype it built around itself. But that's just my take on it. Now, I want to hear yours. Did you watch Lazarus? What did you think of it? Was it better than I'm giving it credit for, or did it fall flat for you too? Let me know in the comments down below, and as always guys, please subscribe, comment, and like the video if you enjoy the content. And as always, thanks for watching. This is your host, Rich Taku, and I will be signing off.